Not be serious!
Here we are, the week after the greatest sporting debacle probably this country or the world has ever seen. And if the AFL think that things are going well up the north of the country and they're going to pump money into the Gold Coast with a view to them playing in a grand final, have a look at the paradigm that was the Greater West Sydney on Saturday. So you say, Mick?
No, it was a schmozzle, Sammy. But I wouldn't actually say that the whole venture stands or falls on 2 hours of football.
Well, I was only trying to be provocative to get you interested. You and the other Don over here. Don, this is Sam, Mike and Don. You interested in, you went to the football, Don, and I can't believe it, you told me that after a quarter of an hour you started to socialise. That would be an absolute lie.
I socialised before the game and during the game because I didn't watch it after half time.
What do you call socialising?
Talking.
What, you spoke to people?
Yeah.
Oh,
did you have a grin on your face at any stage of any conversation?
There weren't too many humorous people there, so I naturally...
you the great
Jack Benny.
You the great stand-up comic that goes around Australia entertaining people.
And you haven't told us about your medical report. We diagnosed you last week with Asperger's. Now, what does the doctor and what does the doctor say?
What, you just
Well, the two of us.
We did.
The two of us diagnosed you.
It's like speak to a forest full of trees. You two saplings over there. What are you talking about?
What we're talking about is you've got traits of Asperger's, and we thought you'd go and find out about it.
So I was in Perth.
Yes.
I was in Perth
At Optus Stadium.
with doing a very good job at two great functions, and I was a sensation.
Self-praise
over there.
is no recommendation,
I was a
Johnny.
sensation, albeit that I was tried to be run out of town by the press, who said that I was not desirable to be there, but I was fantastic over there. Don't worry about that. And
We're not.
And we watched it on the screen until I had enough of it. We did watch it on the screen. How did you think the commentary went? Seeing as, are you happy with Brian and Bruce?
Well, I was at the football, John.
Yeah.
What
I
function
think
were
Bruce
you
has
at?
got to probably retire along with some of the Greater West Sydney people.
What about the events on the field? I mean, the build-up was... Now, I want to ask you two a question here. A very learned friend of mine posed this. Would the AFL have been happy that their test tube baby, the GWS, reached the grand final?
Yes.
Or would they have preferred Collingwood to be there?
Well, we discussed this last week,
Did
I
we?
think. Yes, I think we thought the AFL, I think, would probably think it's a great thing that Greater West Sydney got in.
Until Saturday.
Until Saturday.
Well, no, don't. They just had an off day. They're a good side, but they're just not quite good enough. Individually, they're not bad, but they
So I
really
reckon-
still don't know what it's about.
I reckon when you get beaten by 90 points in a grand final, Donald, you're probably not a great side.
Well, no. It's a bad off day, but teams have been beaten by that margin before.
Mind you, Collingwood
Collingwood
got beaten.
got beaten in 1980 by 90 points and were in the grand final the next year.
That's right.
And we got flogged. Hawthorn were flogged by North Melbourne in 75, and we came back in 76.
Well, maybe if Collingwood had got in, they might have got flogged
Now, I
by
want to
90
ask you
points.
two. You two are both very, very experienced in this business. How good is Dustin Martin? I mean, in my view, he's clearly the best player in the competition now. Where does he rank with the greats of the game? Is it too early or not?
I think it's really too early because we're just going, or you're just going on a grand final
No,
performance.
I'm going on 2 Norm Smith medals, Don.
Well, Gary Ayres also won 2 Norm
Yeah.
Smith medals, and
Yeah.
there would have been players before
See if you
those
can keep
two.
it to Dustin Martin at this stage, Don, will you? We're talking about Dustin Martin. He's won 2 Norm Smith medals. Where in the pantheon of the AFL hierarchy do you reckon he is?
You finished?
Yep.
Well, when I stop speaking,
Oh,
means I
wait
finished.
till he finished playing football,
how does
and
he
let's
rank?
judge him.
Okay, how does he rank, say, with Lethal?
Well,
If you line him up-
they're both offensive players, aren't they? They're not defensive players.
Well, no, there's no defensive players anymore.
Well, the good ones aren't defensive, are they?
Wait, just tell me how he ranks in the offensive.
I don't really think. I don't think that's right. That we should individualise in a team sport. No, Michael, it's a team sport. Why
Well, let's
individualise?
cancel the Brownlow then.
Yes, good
Okay,
idea.
So that's out.
Yes,
Let's cancel
it's
the
a
Norm
joke.
Smith
The
medalist
Brownlow-
and the Coleman medalist.
Yep.
It's very subjective.
Well, everything in the world's subjective,
Yeah.
Don.
My opinion about you is subjective.
Yeah, and is he
Not
good looking?
shared.
That's subjective.
Who?
Him.
Am I
John.
what?
Good looking.
Well,
Some people say
he's tried
handsome.
to hold his looks.
Yeah, that's right. I have. Unlike you, who could
Well,
not.
I'm just going old gracefully.
In your opinion, you've become a hermit and a crabby old bastard. You've become.
Sammy.
No. Dustin Martin
Yep.
has been a stellar player for 4 years.
At least, yeah.
Oh, longer
No,
than
not at
that. He
least.
was a very good player early on.
Yeah.
Well, how
Let's
early?
say 5. Give him 5 years.
Oh, all right, 5.
Yeah.
All right, I'll.
Is that long enough?
No, of course
It's
not.
not.
But having said that, you can't put the years in until you've put the years in. He has been, in the last 5 years, a marquee player, and he is on track to be one of the all-time greats. I don't think you can possibly quite say that yet, but it's not his fault because
No. But I
he
just
can't
wonder what your
bring
view
the
of...
years forward any further than he's playing.
John Coleman is a legend of the game and played 98 games. This bloke's played 150.
Well, I think John Coleman, the aspect of John Coleman, as the late Tony Charlton said to us, used to stand on people's shoulders week in, week out, which we thought was probably a fraction overdoing it. But the delight and the expertise of John Coleman at a completely different position to Dustin Martin in a completely different game has become almost apocryphal.
Okay, well, or I'll leave Martin
Wank
with one
word
more.
for the day.
Yeah.
Week.
It's not woke this week. No, it's apocryphal.
Apocryphal?
Can you
Well,
explain?
What you don't know?
Please explain.
You don't know what apocryphal means? Well, it means that it's become hearsay or it's become folklore.
Well, we're not
almost,
sure whether
or-
it's true or not, are we? It's just
That's
it's
right.
been carried down through the generations.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's folklore.
What, the word or John Coleman?
No, we put John to rest, Sammy. It's the word.
We might have a word of the day for you,
No,
Donald.
wank word of the week.
Do you know what conniption means?
No, I haven't studied the dictionary, and you've just got a
Studied
retentive
the
memory.
dictionary.
Yes, not like
Well,
you.
we'll get on to
You've
that,
got
Don.
a very
That'd-
retentive.
That'd help us. There's only 50,000 words in it, so start at
Well, okay.
A.
Look, I know you blokes don't want to talk about an academic look at football, but Martin uses the ball better than anyone in my time in the game, including Ian Stewart and all the legends with the ball in hand.
You cannot, Michael, you can't compare
I
eras.
can.
No,
I
don't,
made my-
Michael. It's
I
a
spent
different
40
game.
years doing that.
It's a different game altogether. Take into account ground conditions. Take into account
Don.
the way the game is played as
Don,
well.
I'm desperately trying to accommodate you in most of my life and most of your thoughts about life because we are not dissimilar in many things. But for God's sake, man, you've got to he can have an opinion about a player
And
in
how
a
he kicks it.
competition. I agree. I think it's a fraction early if you're just a 5-year veteran of this game at the top to put him into those elite categories,
all right.
but he is right on track to be there.
All right.
And he does use the ball as good as anyone,
As well as- good
as
boy.
well as
Yeah.
anyone I've seen, Donald. Do you disagree with that?
I said that earlier. It's too early to judge
Oh.
him. If you'd listen to what I say.
Well, how about judging him now in this early
I
stage?
picked him out years ago, John, when they were a bottom side. I said, this boy has got talent.
Oh, so you judged him
And,
then. So Mick just judged him now.
No, I said he had talent, and I wonder how good he would be if he was playing in a bottom team.
Well, he was.
Now let me
No,
just.
and he wasn't as good as he is now.
Okay, now sorry. When I said before that he played 150 games, he's played 224. Now, if that's not enough, if that's not
Turn that
sufficient,
phone off too, by
I
the
just
way.
checked how many games he'd played. If you can't prove your worth on 224 games, I don't care how long you play.
No, Mick. No, that wasn't the
No.
wasn't the issue. The issue was that he's been a stellar player for 5 years, by his own admission. But for 5 years, he was in the wilderness a bit in those early days.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Right. All right. Okay. Anyway, I'm happy with that. Now, I do this at our peril, Don. You don't know. I'm gonna
You're
do
not
this.
going to do that now, are you? Well,
Yep,
go ahead.
yep.
No, I think there's a whole lot of other things to cover before.
get
On the
back to
grand final.
All right, go ahead.
We finished with the grand final?
No,
No.
I think it could be better presented. Prior to the game, it used to be, again, I don't like using it, but the teams, the area of expectation was something that was unique at the grand final before the teams had run out onto the ground. I think they should come through the banner. They can do their warm-ups inside.
Spot on. I have said that for years. It is a production, a theatrical production. Why they come onto the ground and warm up, why the crowd see their heroes before the actual game starts. The first time the crowd should ever see the players when they run on, shake hands if they want to shake hands and take their positions, and the umpires bounce the ball. All that other stuff coming on and warming up and shooting for goal is absolutely it diminishes the spectacle by a million.
Yes.
Absolutely. There's plenty of room to warm up inside the rooms, and each side can warm up as much as they like. They can run up and down the corridor and ride bikes.
There's no wind in the rooms. And
there's
so
no
what?
wind out in the MCG.
Well, if
so
it's
what?
windy, it is.
Well, so what if there's no wind?
That's a fallacy. Everybody talks about the weather conditions.
So what if there's no wind?
Well,
who cares? Each side has got to adapt to conditions when they run onto the ground and make it a spectacle so the crowd think, wow, there's our side, not watching them dribble up and down.
You think they're surprised when they run out, do you?
Yes, there was that air of expectation.
That who'll be there?
Yes, that is one thing. Who is actually playing?
That's
This is 2019, Don, not 1956.
Mick.
Oh.
No, I am with him now. The aesthetic appeal of a
I'm in
side.
trouble.
The aesthetic appeal of a side running onto the ground, and you think, there he is, that's him, I can see who, there's Dustin Martin, and gee, who's that number 50 for Richmond? We weren't sure if he was going to play or not. Mr. Marion or Marlon or whatever his name is. Mick, it is a theatrical production and it should be produced as such, and all that nonsense of coming onto the ground and having shots at goal. That's for that. That's got away for the. That's away with the Pixies.
Well,
mate.
the only thing that I don't agree with that, I think the only thing wrong with the event on Saturday was the game.
Yes, we saw the game under the worst possible circumstances. It was actually played.
When did you think it was over, Don?
Halfway through the second quarter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well,
I agree with
I hate to say this, but when I was comparing this very big crowd at
you were very good. They tell me at that.
I said I was.
You were very good.
I told you I was very good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, well,
you told us 3 times.
I'll tell you again in a minute.
You're getting ratty and old.
So when was it Dustin Martin kicked the second goal before the bell went? Or no, it wasn't him, was it?
He kicked Richmond's first goal, didn't he?
When Richmond kicked that goal as the siren went at the end of quarter time, I then took the stage because people were watching.
And they wanted to see you,
and he was good.
And I was very, very good. I said, if I was you, everyone, I didn't call them ladies and gentlemen because you're not allowed to do that anymore. It's got to be everyone because there's not just 2 genders now, apparently, we're told.
Yes, John.
Oh, well, that's a fact.
Well, we know that.
No, I was told, don't say ladies and gentlemen. Say everyone.
Really? This is last Saturday they said that.
I was instructed.
By whom?
By the woke people the woke people who said try and include everyone because you have a letter, you can call yourself anything and with one of those letters you put in front of your name, L, B, all those A, B, C, G, H, I, J. So I was told to say everyone. So I said everyone at quarter time. I said what I'd do now if I was you is go to the bar and
If I were you,
yeah. I'd go to the bar and get plenty of drinks because this is going to be a schmozzle. And how good was that prediction?
Oh, how good were you to pick it?
Why is he wearing mittens, Donald?
Well, why is he smelling? It's a nice aroma that's emanating
That's
from over
me.
there. No, it's not.
It's me.
I think it's massage oil. Is that massage oil?
Oh, is it? You had a rub this morning.
Or did he have a rub?
Have a look at Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. What, you right? What, are you just amusing yourselves, are you? This is an audio tape, this. No one can see I've got gloves on. No one can smell me. No one can see the imbecilic look in your 2 faces. Speak about the game over and done at quarter time. It was.
Okay.
It was obvious. And I thought, Jeremy Cameron, when he kicked that first goal, I thought, wow, he's kicked it from 50 metres out. This is going to be good. And bang, wow.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. Now, can I raise an issue? Can I break an embargo that I imposed?
Of course.
Donald, are you prepared to go with me on this? Can we raise the name of D for Donald Trump?
Why?
Well, because it is newsworthy. I mean,
Yes,
there's an event this morning.
What's going to happen
further corruption from this bozo in the White House.
Alleged corruption.
Why do you call him a bozo?
Well, I happen to have the same view of probably about 6 billion people on the planet.
You keep saying that, Mick. There's half of America almost voted for him in 2016. So don't say you share the view of everyone in the world.
Now, we were talking before about medical conditions.
Yes.
You having Asperger's. How come you can patronise Robert De Niro and pronounce that he's got dementia?
Yes.
From this far away, and on what basis?
Well, if you actually study someone from afar, I'm studying you boys from a metre away. I can give you a synopsis on your medical conditions
can you
from
really?
right here. Yeah. You're starting to become vague, and you have just got no idea what's going on, Don. I'm looking at you. So Robert De Niro is unhinged, and he is in mental decline because he has ceased to differentiate between reality and fiction.
What? Because he criticised Trump?
No, but it's not because he criticises him. He cannot speak about anyone without using the F word or the C word in public about a president of the United States. He is unhinged and he is mentally unfit to actually be on a public arena.
I'll give you one thing. You're loyal to this bloke.
Well, so you said...
Your loyalty's unwavering to Trump.
Hang on. You've brought him up, so
Yep.
I was averse to bringing him up.
Yeah.
I was averse to bringing him up because you say, don't bring... Who's come in?
I don't know.
Okay, well, anyhow, there's a sign there said we're recording. Keep it quiet. There's silence, so don't
I was
worry.
just saying hello to him.
Well, it's, once again, Mick, this is not. If we're on
If
television,
you hadn't have mentioned it, none of this would have come up. The gentleman would have come through the door and gone up the stairs.
Well,
Now you've drawn attention
I've
to
got
him. He's treadily, very gingerly up those stairs.
You're treadily, you're stupidly. I'm looking at Mick into his eyes, and suddenly his gaze drifts over to the door as someone comes in.
Gee, your boy Jack's
are you
a big
paying
fellow.
attention to Mick?
Yes, John.
You brought him up, so go ahead.
I brought him up. Will you ever...
Bought.
That is your Achilles heel, that.
Right,
Bought and brought.
Yeah,
You didn't buy him.
No, I'd like
You carried him.
I brought him up, so you go ahead. You brought him up.
Well, I was reading your tweet last night.
Yes.
And just patronising De Niro and sort of saying, declaring that he's got amnesia or dementia.
No, he's got dementia.
Dementia.
Yep.
Because he was critical of your hero.
Did you not listen to what I
I
said?
didn't hear, no, I was looking at the bloke coming in the door
That's
then.
exactly right. You were too. I said,
Well, don't go through it again.
well, he can't speak
It's a
about
sign of Asperger's.
he can't speak about a president of the United States. I could say exactly the same things about Obama.
Oh, you are now rebuking him for his colourful language, are you? You.
In public, he stands up at any function and calls the President of the United States a C and an F, and he degrades the office of that country, which he has made his fortune and fame in.
Some people say Trump is degrading the office of the President of the United States.
So tell me, all right, well, rather than just mouthing a platitude, just give us an example. Just tell me what you're on about with Trump. Come on.
Well,
see, this is
it's
where we
too
go.
broad.
No, what it is, Mick, is you bring it up and then you've got no idea where to go after that because you have not got an argument for why they should impeach that man. You're only going on the talking points of a mainstream media who for 3 years have tried to get a man who won the election out of office because they don't like him.
I concede that point.
Right.
Yes, I accept that.
So what...
But now he's got the Murdoch media, which is the most powerful media tool in the world,
Yes.
in his corner. I mean, they can see no wrong with him.
But MSNBC and CNN are exactly the opposite. If you watched the documentary about Ailes, who whatever his name was, Roger Ailes, who left CNN to start up Fox News on behalf of Rupert Murdoch, Roger Ailes said, the whole of America is a left-wing, is run by the left-wing press. Why don't we start a television cable news network show that actually embraces the other side of politics, which is the Conservative and Republican side? And do you know what's happened in 20 years that they've been on air? They're the number one cable news station in America by far because they offer an alternative to jaundiced, biased, political, corrupt analysis.
Well, it seems to me that that everyone who has got some modicum of intelligence in America is ashamed to have Trump
Here
as
you
their
go
president.
again. You said everyone. That is just a patently false and ridiculous statement. Half the country voted for him.
I just wanted to say that, that's all.
So what's wrong? So they're trying to impeach him. Now why? Do you know why?
Is it over the Mueller report?
No. See, you don't see this. I hate to
Listen, he
browbeat
watches
you,
this
Mick,
every
but you
night,
have,
Mick.
you
He's-
have
he's got
no
nothing else to
idea
do.
what you're talking about. Robert Mueller was a democratically appointed man to try and take down Trump because of collusion with Russia, and after 3 years they found not one shred of evidence that he did.
Right,
it has nothing to do with
Right,
Mueller.
the
It has to
embargo-
do with the Ukraine.
Okay, the embargo's back on now.
Okay.
Good. Why did you even bring it up?
I just wanted to vent.
Don't feed him.
So could I?
Okay.
All right. Okay.
That's it.
Now, could I just bring up the other thing, which is almost as corrupt, is this false and disgraceful a narrative or discussion that goes on and on about climate change. Now, Mick,
Oh, gee.
no, Mick. Do you think that do you think that people who have a different opinion to children standing up at the United Nations and saying the planet's knackered, do you think I do not want the planet to be saved, but the lies and the nonsense that is spoken for political reasons, nothing to do with climate, it is about a political party taking over the means of how we want to live our lives. That's called socialism, and kids are being dragged into it.
Well, you're talking about Greta. It's Greta, isn't it?
Yeah, Greta.
Yeah.
Did you see the other girl who in 1992 they showed a clip of a girl called Suzuki speaking at the United Nations? She was 12 and she said exactly about 30 years ago, that the planet was in peril, that all the animals were dying. Do you know why the animals are dying? Because half the corrupt governments that run that don't stop poaching. That's
Yeah,
how half
that's true. That is true.
And half the Amazon is on fire because the corrupt governments let them try and clear the land for agricultural purposes. The planet
So there's your argument, John.
Yes.
There is a problem with the climate because of what we're doing to the land.
Did I never
Welcome
ever,
aboard, Donald.
Don,
Well,
did I not? I couldn't agree with you more. But to have a child stand up in United Nations and say, and have the Green New Deal over in America say that we must get rid of fossil fuels. Do you know what fossil fuels are? If you get rid of fossil fuels before you can get solar and wind to take over the means of production, the world grinds to a halt. It is just so nonsensical and it's embarrassing. And we have kids blocking the streets off because they have no idea what they're protesting
You're
about.
selling them short, I reckon, to say that.
Oh,
I
yeah?
think they're entitled to express their concern about the direction of the planet. I think that's a given.
That is a given. So why do they have a right to hamstring the traffic in the city every other
how
week?
else are they going to get any attention?
Their point across.
How about
exactly?
I'll tell you how they do. They lobby their parliamentarians.
Yeah.
Well,
Please, John.
This is why
John.
they're trying to impeach Trump. They cannot, the Democrats who are into the Green New Deal, that is cutting fossil fuels out in 10 years and moving to higher ground because the oceans are going to actually consume most of civilization, they will not run against Trump on policies. They are just trying to get him out because they don't like him.
No, how do we get back to him? I'm talking about the body, the overwhelming view of the scientific community.
That's a lie.
I haven't even said what I was going to say.
I know
yet.
what you've said it before. The overwhelming view of the scientific community is that
we are headed for catastrophe.
that is not the overwhelming view.
You know,
that
the people who dissent from that are Newman, Bolt, Miranda Devine, all the right-wing Australian commentators. They're the only people who dissent from that
is
view.
absolute. That is. I'm sorry to say that is a patent lie. Now it's no good coming on here and trying to snow people who you think don't know. Get away with it because you think that they don't know what you're talking about. That is a lie. There is a significant body of scientists in this world who completely dispute the findings and the narrative of climate change apologists,
Okay.
and that is a fact.
Righto.
I'll give you an example. You put me onto
Me?
you. Or if you looked at someone else coming in the door.
This is audio. No good pointing to me and saying you, and no one knows who you're talking
well,
to.
you were looking at the door again. Is there someone coming in? You told me to watch Q&A, that fantastic show on the ABC, and I watched some asshat.
What are you talking?
This man came on, who was a professor from England, and he said, Australia are a disgrace. Do you know what? Now you back this up. He said, what Australia should do, the Morrison government, they should put solar panels in the middle of Australia, put an underground subterranean, oceanic pipeline to China and sell solar power that they generate from all these solar panels in the middle of Australia and send the power to China. Now, seriously, how could you take a bozo like that seriously? He's either been on
He's either
on the Bolivian booger sugar.
He's half right.
He's either been snorting the Bolivian booger sugar, or he is a fool.
He is half right, let me tell you.
Oh, so what?
Half right, because we are not utilising what we've got, and that is the sun in Australia, and we should have
Very
those.
good point, Donald. So until we put solar panels over the middle of Australia and can generate enough power to run our country, fossil fuels are going to remain the mainstay of how we power the world. And do you know what fossil fuels are? They're not just coal, it's gas, it's fracking, it's oil, it's
Fracking is a process.
Okay.
Fracking is, they say, it causes climate change because it emits carbon.
We'd see none of us know what we're talking about on
There, spot on again, Mick.
this. Okay, righto.
Let's
Move on.
What else is on you? Can you see your board from through the back of your head?
Well, just so here's the thing we might agree on.
Yes.
If you choose to marry a person who goes over and fights in a terrorist organisation like ISIS, and then you decide that you've been exploited and it's not a good idea to stay there because things are not turning a bit pear-shaped, and you want to come back into the country, this is ISIS brides who have now decided, oh no, it's not a good idea that we're over there. Let's come back and get free health and free education and free phones and free everything, and the entitlement society that we left to go and join to fight against. Do you think the government should be compassionate and let them back in?
No.
Look, I think you're right about the three of us being as one on this. IS is a scourge on mankind.
No, it doesn't matter what organisation
it does.
is.
It does in this case because IS is the whole world hates them. And I reckon its agents and their accomplices shouldn't be welcome here.
Agents?
Well, the people who are part of IS.
Did you say Asians or agents?
Agents.
Oh, agents.
Yeah.
I thought, hello, you're stepping on.
No,
And their accomplices not welcome here.
That's Mick. So what you'll be now accused of, like I do, and that's racist.
I can live with that.
And that's racial profiling, and
It's not right. This is about the organisation called IS.
Yes.
Right. So that's got nothing to do with
Al-Qaeda,
race.
ISIS.
Yeah. I mean, what the damage and their influence in the world means that no country should welcome them onto their shores.
So this is why Iran is in trouble for trying to perfect nuclear weapons, and this is why that man that we're not going to discuss anymore is adamant that Iran will not get a nuclear weapon because they are the major sponsor of world terror. Okay. They back those people.
Right.
They back those people, and they back the people that are fighting Israel, which are can't think of the Palestinian group. Can't remember what they're called. Hamas.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mick. Thank you. Well, Mick, how refreshing that you've known something about what's going on the other side of the planet. How refreshing.
Righto.
Move on.
Come on, Donald. Contribute, Don, will you?
Well, I'm just sitting here in an amazement of what you're talking about. It's not going to make any difference to the world or...
nothing does, Don. We all should just lock up and go away.
Well, do you think this makes a difference to your world? If you got on a Japanese airplane, airliner, they have now decided that when you book on Japanese plane, a Japanese airliner, that you can now decide, you can see where a booking has been made where people are travelling with children, and you can.
You're not going to bring up the animal thing again.
Well, hang on. This is one step more. They are now offering a service where you don't have to sit next to screaming kids on a plane. You can see on a flight plan where children are booked to sit, and you can choose and book a seat.
It's only babies that cry because of the air pressure.
Well, I don't care why.
Children, you can sit next to a child.
Donald, you can now choose not to sit next to babies that cry because of the air pressure.
So what about if everyone chooses not to fly next to the baby?
The baby's got the plane by itself.
That's a very, very good point, Mick. That's the only flaw in their particular paradigm. That's the only flaw in Japanese airlines, because if everyone doesn't want to sit next to the kid, the thing is, just don't let the kid fly.
Isn't this amazing?
Put him in the baggage department with the rest of the luggage.
This has just come up on my phone. No buttons touched. This is true. If everyone chooses not to fly next to the baby, here's what I found, blah, blah, blah. How does that happen?
What?
How does my mobile phone bring that subject
Because you
up?
don't turn it off.
You mean because we're talking about it? Because Google, this is...
Huh? Is it Siri?
Yeah, Google.
Is Siri listening to
This is how Google are listening to all your conversations and are infiltrating your private life.
And
this is
shaking their heads and saying, what are these bozos talking about?
This is the bigger pattern of how people are listening into what you do.
I can't believe that.
So ask them about... So I'm waiting for Qantas to bring that into, or Virgin, bring that into their programming. And if I said, as I went over to Perth, if I sit next to someone who's got a dog on their lap, if that comes to Australia...
Did you ask?
No, I didn't.
Well, that's not permissible in Australian.
Well, now, if that comes to Australia, it is permissible in the States. If that comes to Australia through the do-gooders saying, oh, no, I can't travel.
I want to take my Shetland pony on the flight. Yeah.
Well, don't laugh, Mick. That's we saw a woman walking on with a miniature horse onto a flight on Delta Airlines in America. If that happens here, mate, and what we do is we put up with it. We put up with kids disrupting the traffic because of climate change. We put up with people bringing animals onto planes. The world's got to fight back. We've had enough of it. I think Peter Finch said that, didn't he?
So we're going to shoot the protesters, are we?
Shoot them?
Yeah.
Shoot them with a camera. Just get them on
and
film.
Then do what with them? Charge them?
Well, have a law enforcement contingent that keeps them away from disrupting the traffic every other week because they have a jaundiced claim.
Okay. What about when the tram drivers and operators disrupted the traffic because they wanted more money? What do we do with them? Well.
This is we still allow people to protest on behalf of better wages and conditions,
but not on behalf of the future of the planet.
Hang on, we still allow people to protest on behalf of better wages and conditions, but not on a weekly basis, a regular weekly basis. The government step in eventually. Daniel Andrews will step in and do something about it. But
I don't think he will.
He won't do it.
I don't think Dan will.
With the trams, he will. With the
I
trams.
think
Eventually, the people the tramways employers, the people who run the city travel.
It's Yarra Transport, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's called Vic Rail. Whatever they're called, the public transport system. Eventually, the hierarchy negotiate with the rank and file and the workers. No one negotiates with those dreadful little anarchists, those stupid people that run around.
You've been a bully with them. You are.
A bully?
Yeah.
How bully? Well, you can't bully a group.
Because they're kids.
They're kids. They're children. Their parents should be ashamed of them. No, they're disgraced.
I think it's a great ploy that these children are coming out and doing something, and it's a new angle to the whole
So you
argument.
reckon the United Nations, those stupid people that sit there, let a
At least
12-year-old
it's bringing
girl lecture you
It is bringing
about how the
it to
planet's
our
going?
attention, John, and it's a new angle. And you are now talking about it, and that's
You're talking like an old man. You are.
exactly what they want.
So I'm talking like an old man.
Yeah.
So what do you disagree with? What do you disagree with what I just said?
I have no issue with the adolescent population
Yep.
Having
making a
say,
stand about
yes,
the future
exactly
of their
right.
planet.
So
Exactly.
what are they making a stand about?
About climate change.
So tell me that nebulous term. So tell me disrupting the traffic in the central business district with a view to what? Now tell me.
to
what,
getting politicians to be more honest and aware about
what?
the future.
Aware's the word,
Well,
Michael.
well,
it disrupts, but at least it's
Well, I'll
bringing
tell you how
awareness.
dishonest and hypocritical the politicians are. I'll show you on my phone. There's a woman who was at a climate protest, who is a Green supporter, was photographed. I'll show you on my phone if you disbelieve me.
believe you.
Photographed
Yep.
with a plastic mug and a plastic straw at a function. And when it was reproduced in the paper, they airbrushed it and they doctored up the photo so that she had a cardboard mug in her hand with a.
Who's
I will
they?
show you just a minute. The climate deniers or the climate activists
In the newspaper.
I will show you a picture in a minute while you're talking. They changed it to a cardboard mug with a steel straw just for reproduction.
So the newspaper did that.
The newspaper did that.
I don't believe
I
that.
can't-
well,
that's
hang-
hard to
just,
believe.
Just a minute. I will show you in a minute. And secondly, the Democrats had what they call a cookout. It's a barbecue, a big barbecue for the 20 people standing to try and get nomination to stand against Trump. They had a cookout. Now, these people are against the meat industry. They want to get rid of cows
Methane
because
gas.
they fart,
Yeah.
right? So at the cookout, they were all eating and distributed 1,500 steaks from cows at the cookout to people who attended it. You can't have it both
That would be
ways.
slightly hypocritical. Yeah.
Slightly. They are the most dishonest, hypocritical people, and they're not doing it for climate, they're doing it for political reasons.
Okay.
And while you're speaking, I'll get you this photograph out. So
Don,
you
not
two
playing bluff
see
like
if
you
you can
were-
carry the conversation for 5 minutes.
Come on, Donald.
Go, Michael.
Oh, it's up to me, is it? Hey, Don, I know this is trivial after the major issues we're talking about. Why would you want to coach Adelaide? Now, you've coached in the Sandful. Just a hypothetical.
I think they've
Wait
got
a
a lot.
second, I haven't finished it. Adelaide is in a mess.
Thank you. That's what I was just going to
It's in a
say.
terrible mess, and there's a mass walkout of players.
That's right.
And the team having missed the finals this year.
Yep.
Why would anyone want to take that?
Well,
that
they've
job
already
on?
asked one coach to coach, and he's knocked them back.
Who's that?
Ross Lyon.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Well, but Ross probably would have knocked anyone back at the moment. He's just finished at Freo.
No,
That's right.
I can't understand.
Just
why,
1 minute.
Oh, we're back.
I'm not interrupting, but I am just.
You are.
Yes, you are.
No,
you
just,
are. There's no other.
Well, we're
you are.
talking
We're
about
talking
something else.
Just a minute. I'm just trying to clarify something. Mick's going to play now a thing on my phone. Press play. This
You trust me with this?
Yes, press play.
That's the arrow, isn't it?
Yes, that's the arrow. Now, he is now confirming what I said about the
I
dishonesty.
can't hear this bloke.
No, you've
Would
got to look
you
for,
read it?
You've got to look for the
Canada
the
Green
steel
Party
straw.
alters photo with disposable cup.
Do you need any more? So you think I made that up? All right. So that's it there. That's
Well,
how
no, it's on Fox News. I wouldn't trust anything on Fox News.
It's not on Fox News. That person there, that Fox News didn't create that person. That person is on tape saying that photo has been doctored.
By whom?
By the newspaper that put it into their publication.
I might be naive about news, but I can't believe that a news.
have a
wait
look at
sec.
it.
Well, a newspaper with any credibility would doctor.
You wouldn't be
something
talking about the New York
They're
Times.
very
They're the
good.
most corrupt, biased. They'll go out of business. No one has taken them credibly.
Oh, really? Well,
that-
they've just turned the Western world on its head this morning, the New York Times, with its story about Trump and involving ScoMo in the Ukrainian business.
Because they spent...
That's their credibility.
No, but their credibility is shot to bits because they spent 3 years backing a bogus investigation into Trump, and Trump is trying to get to the bottom of who started it because it was found to be
Why did you
fallacious
wind him up?
and fictitious.
I said we could go for 3 or 4 minutes. He's turned it into an hour and a half.
Well, you can see that that's hypocritical and that is just corrupt. They've changed that photo.
Just agree with him.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Well,
Just
I
agree.
can only show
No.
you the pictures,
Oh,
Mick.
no, we see.
Well, I
We
interrupted
agree.
you, Donald.
Yes,
Go
you
ahead
have,
about
What
coaching
we're
Adelaide.
talking about.
Well, it's a serious question. Why would any aspiring coach put his future in that area on the line?
There will be
But-
somebody.
I know,
Michael.
of course they
There
will, but I don't
be
know
somebody.
why.
There will be somebody, but the intriguing thing is the way these players are moving around nowadays. It's gone really like rugby league. I couldn't understand why rugby league players could play for a club they weren't obviously not emotionally invested, yet they can pick up at the end of the season and just move somewhere else. They're not playing with real emotion, are they?
No, I don't agree with you about that. No, I think
Why?
you can separate. Brandon Ellis played in the premiership for Richmond on Saturday, right? Knowing his future was on the Gold Coast next year. He was emotionally invested in what was happening on Saturday. Totally.
I can't relate to. I really can't relate to it. It's
because that's
maybe a different era
That's
altogether.
their profession now. Ellis has to go to the Gold Coast because his future's assured there. He wasn't going to get 5 years or 4 years at Richmond on good money. So it's a pragmatic decision.
Could I? May I?
We're not going back to America.
No,
are we?
I'm on this.
Okay.
So
Can I also say, why would you even have a team, just taking it a bit further, up on the Gold Coast? And the AFL, all they want is exposure in Queensland, hence 2 teams. Everything that's gone on the Gold Coast has failed. I've mentioned it before,
Yeah, you
basketball,
have.
soccer,
Yep.
and rugby league. They're not a spectator sport or community. They're
No.
down the beach. They're up there on holidays.
I agree with you about that.
So the AFL.
The AFL are only interested in exposure in Queensland. If we've got 2 teams, they get more exposure.
So
Yeah.
more than that, they've just given them 3 years free picks.
Concessions, draft concessions.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mick. I thought that was.
Well, did you say 3 years of free picks, didn't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what does that mean? What they got across the board? They can take whoever they want.
Well, free draft concessions. They've given them 3 years draft concessions so that they have first crack at anyone
John,
for 3 years
the
rather than
fallacy-
the other 18 sides in the comp or how many
The
sides there are.
fallacy with that is
Yes.
it's not going to fix the Gold Coast because it takes
No, it
5 to 8 years for a player to mature.
It might not, Donald, but the AFL are hell-bent on manufacturing a grand final like they did last week against the Greater West Sydney. They're hell-bent on manufacturing a grand final that will include the Gold Coast.
No. They're hell bent on taking the game,
Yes.
to Australia. That's not manufacturing a grand final.
Hang on. I agree that it's a national game, but they are going to bend over backwards, and they've already indicated this, that they're not going to lie down. They're going to pump more money and more
As they
resources.
should.
Well, should they?
Yes, because
All right.
they are
So-
Gold Coast are a hindrance.
Okay, so I was correct when I said they're hell bent on manufacturing the Gold Coast to play in the grand final.
No, to make them competitive,
Okay,
to make them play, to perform
Yes,
well enough to
yes.
attract local people to come
Yes.
to the footy.
No, Mick, I have no argument, but let's see it for what it is. They are not going to give concessions to North Melbourne and St Kilda and all the other sides down here
They're
that are
not
no
basket
good.
cases.
That are no good. What? Well,
They're not basket cases.
Almost they are.
Also,
But,
what were the koalas? The Brisbane Bears. They started on the Gold Coast. Well, they were koalas on the front of their
Well-known
chopper.
football commentator Don Scott. Listen, Don, I heard you in your role as a commentator. The other night, I watched a replay of the '89 Grand Final. John, are you listening to this?
What do you think my ears are painted on?
So the '89 Grand
do you mean I'm
Final, and
listening
you
to
were
this?
special comments. You went
Who
mad,
played?
actually.
Who played?
Oh, who
Oh,
played?
come
Who
on,
do you think?
Geelong.
I do not know.
Gold Coast played Port
They
Adelaide.
didn't.
Yeah.
They weren't even in
Look,
existence.
let me
Come
just
on.
see if I can clear it up for you. And the ball is bounced, and damn it, Brereton's been hit by Mark Yates.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
special comments, Ron Barassi. I'm sorry, Rex, I dropped my pen. I was under the desk looking at it.
Well, apropos of that, they were 15 minutes picking it up on the Channel 7 commentary.
What's that?
They're talking about Ablett kicking the goal and Dermot's dead on the ground before you blokes picked it up.
Yeah, but anybody
generally,
Bill
anybody that
Brownless
knew
says-
will you shut up? Can we get a word in? Anybody who knew anything about football knew there was going to be a square up that day because of what happened at Princess Park
Correct.
halfway through the year when they met Geelong and Hawthorn. And there was going to be, you just knew there was
I
going
know
to be a
that.
square up.
And that was where the ruptured testicle first entered the vernacular, if you excuse the
Oh,
pun.
you did vernacular.
That was funny, wasn't it?
Testicle
that was when
vernaculars.
Dermot got Mark Yates in the Jets crackers.
Well,
so
Bill Brownless contends.
Yates put his hand up to say, I will do the job on grand final day.
I was at a sports night. Bill, another very, very entertaining sports night that I was at.
Were you good?
I was
He was
fantastic.
brilliant.
Bill Brownless contends that Dermot Brereton wasn't really hurt at all, but it was all show, and
The
he
funny
wasn't
thing
hurt
about
that
that,
much at all.
Does Dermot listen to this?
I'm sure he'll get wind of it. No,
Well,
no.
look, he looked remarkably comfortable
Yes.
after the first 5 minutes.
He did.
What do you
didn't he?
mean?
No,
after,
Bill,
after the incident?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Bill
Well, you
said
can
he
recover.
milked it big time, and
Didn't he have busted ribs, though?
oh, busted ribs and spleen, and he was bleeding from his aort, and he's pissing blood. And no, he
His
did.
liver was lacerated.
Yeah, that's right. Bill said no human man, no matter how dynamic he was, could push on with all that. He said he milked it beautifully.
Look, he's got amazing recuperative powers.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
So
But it
Don,
was a great game, though.
was a in the end, it was a
Geelong
fantastic.
should have won that game, but they went the
should have
knuckle.
won the game.
They went the knuckle for
You
too
know, there was
long.
7 goals down at quarter time.
Yeah, anyway, they blew it.
But that was your commentary role.
So Don, I was before you told me to be quiet and to give someone else a go.
Yeah.
You said that you could not understand how you could have your heart in a side when you knew you were going elsewhere.
Emotionally involved.
Right. I'll accept those words, Don. I was vaguely getting around to saying the same thing. You said you couldn't understand how you could be emotionally involved in a side when you knew you were going somewhere else the next year.
Yep.
Could I ask you this? If you were going somewhere else from Hawthorn, Carlton had signed you up the next year, would you just drop away from playing football, would you, for the Hawthorn for the rest of the year? You wouldn't want to personally be as good as you can and beat the person you're on. You would just collapse and just play the season out, would you?
I think you're out, Don.
What do you mean out?
Well, I think that he's
Well, I had
quite
the
logically couched that. You can be emotionally involved at the place you are, knowing you're going to be somewhere else next year.
I find I can't relate to that. I'm sorry, I had the opportunity personally to go elsewhere.
Oh,
We'll go.
Usually we have the comptroller who runs the computer here, young Jack. She usually has a bit of a crack, but here we've got a bird watcher over here.
Turn the microphone
called.
around.
where's he from? Who is he?
Well, he's a very, very capable man, and his name's Rodney Law.
L.A. Law.
L.A. Confidential. Yeah. He's Rodney Law, and he said, Don, he was just chipping away at you beautifully. He said, it's easy to do that when you're not playing for a premiership.
No,
or you are.
No. He said you can be emotionally invested. Well,
Yeah.
of course you can.
Of course you
Even
can.
if you're not playing for a premiership, if that's where you're employed at that time, Donald, you're totally
I'm
invested in
sorry,
it.
I can't relate to it.
Well,
You can't convince me or turn me around.
Oh, right,
I
so
can't
you're-
relate to it, and it's just people's
See, that's
makeup. You
probably-
might be able to do it. I couldn't.
That's probably why we have a lot of trouble in this podcast, because you can't be convinced about anything. You're such a rigid man who is stolid in his thoughts and will not alter even if given a logical reason why you could be wrong. This is what's
Have you
wrong
looked
with
at
this.
yourself in the mirror?
What?
Have you looked at yourself in the mirror?
I've
No,
got
no,
love bites all over it, Donald.
he's very malleable, our John. If you put up a coherent case, he'll roll over.
Now, give us your opinion on this.
What?
WADA. Do you know who WADA
Yeah,
is?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
an
yeah.
acronym.
Yeah.
Do you know what an acronym is?
Come on, let's keep going.
What is it an acronym for?
Well, it's what I was just about to
no,
ask
what
him.
is it? What
I'm
is-
about
World-
to ask him.
Yeah?
Yes.
World Anti-Doping
Anti-Doping Authority.
Oh, very
WADA.
good.
Well, what? Did you think I didn't know what WADA was?
Come on,
Yeah, I
what's
did.
the question?
Yeah.
WADA said, if you're going to take cannabis, that is smoke marijuana, this is the drug agency of the world that put Essendon into the
keep going,
into
keep
their
going,
sites.
keep going.
They said if you're going to smoke cannabis, which is an illegal drug, almost now, not in the ACT, if you're going to smoke cannabis, make sure that you have it soon enough or early enough before it goes out of your system so that if you're tested by WADA, it won't be in your system. They've actually told you how to evade being caught smoking marijuana. Can you believe that? I'm asking you a question.
Well, they also, by the mere fact of testing, say don't take drugs.
Yeah, but his point is, Don, why would the world authority on drug use and an authority charged with eliminating it from sport be sort of almost saying you may use it, but just be careful about when you do?
It's a matter of interpretation.
I'm with you, Sammy.
It's a matter of interpretation.
Hang on, I want your interpretation.
It's a matter of interpretation.
Give us yours.
I would say, as the body in charge, they've issued a warning. Don't take it, or you can smoke it, or whatever you want to do with it. So, what is it? A week beforehand.
So, if you're taking anabolic steroids or beta 4+8 or something, you're saying make sure that you, if you're going to take these drugs, that's fine, but make sure before we come round and test you that it's not in your system so that we can't find a reason to suspend you.
That's it. Well, I go along with what they're saying.
Joking.
Why?
No, they shouldn't encourage it.
They're not encouraging it.
Well, they are. They're just saying be careful, be prudent.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right.
Be
careful.
By inference, they're encouraging it, Donald.
Oh.
Hey,
Sammy. Don't shake your head like that, man. You serious that you've got a drug agency saying, for God's sake, if you take drugs, make sure they're not in your system when we come round to test you?
Well, it's like any authority. You've got the traffic authority. They put a sign up.
Traffic authority?
Well, they warn you, don't go down.
But they don't say you can speed if you think that
you can get away with it.
Road or there's
well,
no
they put
police
the
there.
sign up and say, beware, don't go over the speed limit. What's the difference?
They don't say, the police don't say, look, you can speed, but only speed if you think you can get away with it. Don't they?
No, you're twisting an argument.
Hey,
you're being pedantic.
So, all right, well, that's the biggest, the ACT. Do you know what the ACT is?
What, the trade union?
Yes, that's the ACUNT.
What?
That's the, what did I say?
You said something you shouldn't have said.
ACU. Oh, I said ACTU. That was a Freudian slip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The ACUNT, Donald. The ACT, the Australian...
Yes, okay.
What is it? Canberra.
Yeah, Australian Capital Territory, it says.
They have now legalised marijuana.
That's good, if they wish to.
Yeah,
Why?
You reckon that's good, do you?
Well, they say it's good for medical conditions as well.
Oh, so medical. So you reckon the people who are going to smoke marijuana in the ACT are all on medical conditions? They'll be
John, if you want to smoke the stuff and it does damage to you, that's your problem. I've got no argument. If you want to do that, that's your problem.
So what's wrong with taking cocaine and heroin and any of the others?
If you want to do it, and you suffer the consequences.
I see.
It's anarchy, Don, anarchy.
Well,
it's not anarchy. If you want to drink. If you
what about if I want to drive at 160 k's?
Well, kill yourself.
What about if I take 10 people out with me?
Well, you're a fool.
Oh, fair enough.
John, what we've departed from now suddenly in this whole thing is logic. You've drifted onto a different...
I am being logical. You make your decisions in life and you live by those decisions, John, whether they're good or bad, and every morning we get up to make, and you take whatever decision. I've got no sympathy for anyone who breaks the law.
Donald, but surely you're not saying that a government agency or a government or a territory should give its stamp of imprimatur for people to go around stoned out of their brain most of their life with the associated medical ramifications of being stoned half your life and getting in a car.
I'm with you, Sam.
I mean, it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is honestly ridiculous.
Hey,
that is anarchy taken to the next level.
No, I agree. Now, I know this is the major issues you're talking about, you blokes, but can none of us have spoken about.
Neither, none, or any of us
have spoken about the boy Pickett. Have you in the grand final?
No, we haven't.
I know this is not
Marion.
splitting the atom, but isn't it an amazing story? Is it not?
It's a great story, and also, Michael, it reinforces that there are players out there that have never got the opportunity, that are playing in junior football, that are slow maturers and just have not received the... And the other thing is, you've got to ask, why wasn't he picked... He's 27, why wasn't he picked up earlier?
Well, it's the same as Tim Kelly.
Yeah.
Tim Kelly and Marlon Pickett, two of the blokes who lit up September,
Yeah.
and the
We are so
recruiters
far behind. others-
ignored both of them.
We are so far behind in basketball. Andrew Gaze was taken across to America and
Seton Hall?
He sat. No. Was it Jazz? He got a ring, but he just sat on the bench. But they still picked him up at 27.
You got a
28.
phone call? What's that?
You get a ring as a reward for winning the.
Oh, you got a ring. I'm sorry. What do you mean you got a ring?
A championship ring, when they
Championship
win.
ring.
Oh, what the hell are you talking about?
You know, when he went to America and
Basketball,
played
it's
in
called
the
basketball, and when you win over in America, you receive a ring. I think you also receive it for football too. Yes, you do.
Anyhow,
And so Andrew Gaze has got a ring, and he was a mature age recruit.
Yeah.
We are so far behind over here in many ways, and and as I said, I'm going back over it. There are a lot of kids out there playing in the suburban leagues, given the opportunity. I've seen one or two that the recruiters will not take a chance on.
so the man that we've invited in, I can't mention his name, but he used to be
Well, you
on
did
Fox.
before.
Mick, just bear with me. The man whose name we can't mention, Rod Law, he just said then that Marlon Pickett, he could have got a game. Rod could have got a game for Richmond
I don't
on
think
Saturday.
so, Rod. Are you very good? On
Yep.
Saturday, you could have got a game.
Yep.
Could you have done that
It's no-
blind
hey,
turn he
listen.
did when he came out of the centre there?
What is he doing, this bloke?
But no, these TV executives get me, don't they? They
He's not a
feed
TV
you up,
executive.
feed you the bullshit. They can't do it themselves.
No, he's wrong about now.
That's like eunuchs in a harem.
Yes, it is. Tell him not to speak, Sam. But he's wrong about Pickett. Pickett clearly is a brilliant talent, and no one was prepared to take a
wow.
risk on him.
Now, Mick, it's his first ever game of AFL football.
At the senior level. But
I'm sorry?
No. But the previous week in the VFL,
Oh, the VFL. What, that second-tier competition?
correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Mick, it's his first ever game of, and you said he clearly is an extraordinary talent.
He is.
That is almost the silliest thing I've ever heard. Probably a renowned sporting commentator who's got a room named after him at the AFL ever say. That is just nonsensical to say that.
So what are you
Really?
saying, John?
What? A man's played one game of football in a side that won by 90 points, and he is clearly an outstanding
Oh,
talent.
no. I think that's going a little bit too far, but he is talented. And
Well, that's what I was saying. It's going a little too far.
Did you see him play?
Mick, I was hosting
was very good.
excellent job at hosting
was
a
good, Mick.
function where we had to watch the bloody game for the whole day so that we could ask
You
questions.
turned it up at quarter time, didn't you?
No, the screen. There was 85
You know,
screens.
he may. I know that clearly it was one-sided. I think 2, maybe 3 of the Norm Smith judges voted him among the best players.
Mick,
right?
if he had won the Norm Smith medal, I'd have no argument from me. You just said in the one game of football he's played, he clearly is an outstanding talent.
Yeah, I agree with that. And in fact, the only reason
You
he
agree
was
with
never
yourself.
drafted, I do agree with myself often. The only reason he wasn't drafted is because of his background, and most of them thought he's too difficult. It's too big a risk. It wasn't his talent that was an issue.
This
see,
background
so-
thing really does irritate.
Yeah, me too.
And
Yeah.
it's been going on for years. I asked when I was on the board at Hawthorn about a player
Who was
turned
it?
Well, you've got... Okay, I'll tell you. And I watched this boy play in the under-18s for Ballarat at centre-half back. And I thought he did all right. He's 6'3", 6'4", and I thought, gee, he bounces around all right.
Was it Lawrence Angwin?
And I went back and
Gary
I
Ablett?
questioned. He was picked number 35 in the draft, and he went on and won a couple of Brownlow medals for Sydney. And they said his background.
Adam Goods.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it has that. Now that's first-hand in evidence of what we're saying. That it's not the talent of these blokes; it's the fact that the clubs think they're too big of a risk. They're worried about what may have happened previously. They should be more adventurous. I applaud Richmond and what they've done with the way they've compiled their list.
And that's like the TAC dropping sponsorship from people who get pinged for drink driving because it mightn't be good for their franchise or their brand. That's clubs jump into the lifeboats.
There we go. What do you? Will you
What's
take
Ron-
the microphone?
What's Ron Blaskett doing over here?
Rod,
Just take the microphone,
Mate,
Don't point.
we have guests in here. Speak into the
No,
microphone.
I'm just saying that's a big deal. That's
What is a big deal?
What you just said then about
Speak
Aboriginal-
into the
I
microphone.
don't want to.
Why not?
What?
That's a big deal. That's
Yeah,
a
what
big
it is.
story, what he just said.
Yeah, it is.
That's a, so I was letting you know to maybe follow up on that.
Well, that's the same as what Pickett and Tim Kelly, the Geelong bloke. He's the best.
Well,
Tim Kelly is the best player at Geelong. Well, equal with Dangerfield,
Yes,
right?
yes.
He was 24 before he got a chance.
Well,
Well,
Because
Mumford is also a classic case, wasn't he? He was playing down a bunyip
he was
and
too busy eating sausages.
yes, and happened to wander
Or having
into
the Bolivian booger sugar.
the what?
Oh, yes.
And Mumford's a late maturer as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to relay the man who won't come on the microphone. I think he said, Don, you should explore this further.
No,
There's
he
a
said to Michael.
No, he just said it's a good story.
It's
That's
a
all.
good story. It
So
should
what
be.
would he know? He's out of work. He's just happened to be
And he's
passing
off
by.
mic. And he's off mic.
He
And
will
he's
not-
off mic.
We've just given him a job and he won't accept.
So Don, can we? So just quickly.
Why is Bill Vlahos's name up on your board? I wouldn't have thought you'd know who he was.
Well, Mick, I was about. You've read my mind. I was about to say now that the racing season's come on.
Yes.
Do you think Bill Vlahos, who ripped countless millions off investors and punters through a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah.
Do you think he's a bit like Bernie Madoff, if you know who he is, who extorted $60 billion from people in America with a Ponzi scheme? What do you think should happen to those
I'll
people?
tell you what I will say about Ponzi schemes. I don't know much about them. I will say people who get caught up in these things are caught up because they're greedy.
Thank you, Michael. It's their own problem, isn't it?
Yep.
And they're
well,
just trying
it's
to
like
make an
investing
easy.
on the stock
If
exchange.
it looks,
an easy
if it
quid.
looks too easy, it is. What's that expression?
Hence the pyramid selling disaster down in Geelong. That
Yeah.
looked too easy for everyone.
Yeah.
And it bit
Easy
them on
money.
the arse. But what's wrong with people being? If you're conned into trying making easy money, do you think the conners get away with it?
They shouldn't.
Well, like
what
some
should
of
happen?
them do.
So Billy Vlas, who denied it vehemently, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
would, of course,
Yeah.
he's in no different situation than Bernie Madoff. $60 billion
Yeah.
he ripped off people in
Yeah, no,
America,
no,
and those people, some of them, have been driven to suicide.
Yeah,
because of those.
No, Vlahos gets no sympathy from me.
Oh well, that's good. So what should happen to him? He should face the full. He shouldn't even be
The might of the
allowed.
law?
He shouldn't even be allowed to do a what do you call those deals?
Yeah.
Well, it's fraud, isn't it? Don't you
A
go to jail
plea,
for
a
fraud?
plea,
a plea deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It
please.
wasn't hard to think of that
No,
word.
what's-
Why would you give him a plea deal?
No.
Well, that's
Sam's saying
all he
he
is.
shouldn't be allowed to have one. A plea bargain.
A plea bargain.
Yeah.
That's we've eventually found it.
We did we?
Well, you did. Now, can I ask?
Do you want to talk about athletics?
I do. How'd you know that?
Just up on the board.
I can read your mind.
Well, you probably haven't been watching the World Athletic.
Why would you
Championships.
why would
Doha.
you have a board of agenda items that you can't read?
he's got them written down.
I've got
there,
them written
Michael.
down here, Mick. I'm only doing that for you because you two bring nothing to the table. I work diligently.
listen, we bring
Well,
things
just
to the table.
Open up your sheet of paper.
Well,
Don.
I've got
what are the
four
three
pages,
subjects you've
four
written
pages
down?
when it's hard to get anything in with you
Go on,
talking.
give us one of the things you wrote down to chat about.
What did I write it?
Here we go. This
That
is
was last
good.
week, Don.
Yeah,
that
that's,
was last week.
show us the thing that you brought in today that you thought
You
I
brought
what,
in.
Sorry,
yes.
Rick. You brought in today, Don. You thought this will
Brought.
stun the boys. This will stun my two associates. I'm going to bring this up.
Come
Go
on,
on.
we're talking about athletics. What do you want to know about Doha? We had 3 Australians that
Why
placed
is the event in Doha?
because they've got a lot of money over
Oh,
there.
it's money.
Why do they have the World Cup?
Correct. Qatar. They had the World Soccer Championships. They
They also have a tour of the global
they're
show
corrupt.
jumping.
They buy it.
They've got
why-
plenty of money.
But why? You know they ran the marathon at a minute to midnight.
Yep.
Yeah,
because it was
it's so
too
hot.
hot.
That's
Well,
right.
but don't hold it there then.
They've got money, Michael. It
Money,
speaks all
money, money.
languages.
won-
Where's the purity of competition and
They
just
won.
finding the best?
Yeah, tell WADA that. Who just say don't take drugs, but if you do, make sure they're out of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
system. Qatar won the rights to host the
Bought the rights.
bought
Yeah.
bought. They actually bought, not brought. They bought the
Thank you.
rights
Yeah.
to host the World Soccer World
World
Soccer
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah.
Just fraudulently, just absolutely.
So what do we talk? So what's it got to do with athletics?
Well, Mick said, why is the World Athletic Championships in Doha at the minute?
You are. I've got to concede this back to when you and I
And the Beast.
and the Beast were doing this. You said the world was corrupt,
Yep.
and I probably resisted that.
You did.
But it is. Everything in the world
is corrupt.
is based on money and
That's
and
right. It's
corruption.
the root of
and,
all evil.
And what advantage you can get out of it?
It's not a big deal in terms
Power,
of corrupt.
correct. The
Why
other,
would you hold an athletics event in a place where it's 40 degrees?
But
and
they
you-
have race meetings there as well. The horses run in the heat because they've got the money and they can have a big international race meeting there. We talked about the World Cup. They've got money and they will make it happen. They play cricket there because we can't play in Pakistan at the moment.
The world's stuffed, isn't it? Don't you reckon?
Exactly. You're too old.
so
I
You're
know
getting
I'm too
old.
So I'll just get on to this. The world.
So where would you like the athletics to be held, Michael?
Well, somewhere where it's a more temperate climate. I mean, we want people,
But the
to be
people-
able to perform at their best because they are the world's best. It's not an endurance test. You shouldn't have to run 26 miles in 45-degree heat to find the world's best
Well,
marathon.
the first
runner.
marathon runner did it and he dropped dead.
Oh, rest.
Well, he did.
Was that Achilles or who was that?
That Spa. What didn't he take the message from Sparta to Troy or something?
Geez,
He-
we're in
Holy
quicksand
shit,
here.
extraordinary. I tell you what.
The
I'm
bloke
not sure
from
if I can
Greece.
do much more of this.
Wasn't Achilles?
Billy. No, that's
Archimedes,
Achilles'
that
heel.
was his principal.
Achilles.
Achilles heel, that's correct. He
it.
did his Achilles. And
So we're getting the
now
wind up.
quickly. All right. Well, so I'm going to.
Have we
I
gone
said
too
the
long,
World
Jack?
Athletic Championships. I want. Fraser Price won the women's 100 metres, and she's been
Fraser Price.
Fraser Price.
Is Fraser a girl's name, is it?
That's her hyphenated surname.
Oh, sorry.
Fraser
Okay.
Price.
Yeah,
And the crowds have been down, but she is a star athlete. I watch a lot of the Diamond League. But the big interest will be whether a man called, I think he's from the Arab Emirates, a high jumper called Bashir. The world record, now I only bring this up, is the world record for the high jump is 2 meters and 245, which is 8 foot 1.5. If you measure 8 foot 1.5 or 245 on your wall and you look at it, you'll think it is physically impossible for a human being.
Does he actually come from there or Africa?
No, he comes from
He really-
United Arab Emirates, I think.
Doesn't
And-
change the fact, though, he's jumping that wall.
Anyhow, well, he didn't. The world record by Sotomayor from Cuba, I think Sotomayor. He holds the world record at 245, and Bashir's jumped 243, and they think he will break the world record, which will in itself attract a full house if they think a man can jump over 245. Conversely, I'll just say this for a comparison. This is about the greatest disparity of men and women, I believe, that you could almost get. The world record for a woman jumping, a high jumping female high jumper, is 209, which is 6'10". You compare that to 8'2".
So what are you saying?
I'm just saying that is probably the greatest disparity in men's and women's achievement, I reckon. Don't you think?
Weightlifting probably would be, wouldn't it?
No, I think there's a lot of physical pursuits.
Yes,
I think
yes. I'm not sure. Yes, I'm not sure you call weightlifting really athletic.
sport?
Well, not an athletics event.
Well,
And not an athletics event. So now I know you're going to frown at this, and so will the people
bloke
in
who
the
can't
peanut
speak
gallery.
over there, yeah.
You wait until the women's high jump record will be contested between someone who's transgendered from a man into a woman, and when they jump 7'3" or 7'4" because they're a man signalling as a woman, people will say, "Wow, that's fantastic! The women's high jump record has been broken," and it'll be a nonsense.
Yeah, no,
You're not bad at getting it back to your little subject, are you? You can twist and turn.
No, but I think he's got right on his side though.
Oh God!
Don't you?
Why would you even bring it up? Why?
And this is the final thing I'll bring up.
Righto.
Okay.
This
and then
is,
we'll get to your agenda, Don.
It's
Yeah.
on 4.
in fact, we'll get to it now, Don. Read out your next item.
What's yours, Mick? There's
Read
my
out your next-
contribution.
Don, read out your next
No, we're
item.
just riding on your coattails. I've said that to you before.
Yeah, no, I've said it to you several times, but you take no notice of it. There's a man called Magnus Soderlund. This is on climate again. There's a man on... No, listen, Mick. No, listen.
Are you going to doona, Don? I'll just have a little
There's
kip.
a Swedish man, a Swedish professor called Magnus Soderlund, who said, besides eating... Now listen to this. To save the planet, besides eating dandelions and bark off trees and insects so that we don't have to eat meat, he said, you'll think I'm making this up, he said we should start to think about eating humans who have died. Dead human flesh. Now, do you think I'm making that up? Would you like me to show you that on the phone?
No, I don't want to pursue this.
So how can you take this stuff seriously?
Well, because one bloke says something that we don't like.
Well,
He's not the body of science on behalf of the world.
He is being taken seriously about trying to do something to save the planet, eating dead humans, eating insects as a staple diet, eating bark off trees and dandelions because they're very rich in calcium.
Well, he might be like a couple of blokes here. He might be off the planet.
What about
Well-
Justin Longmere, coach of Fremantle? We've just changed the subject, boys.
Well, we're finishing now. So what do you what do you think about Justin Longmuir?
I just thought he had an interesting introduction when he gave his interview. He's going to bring a bit of
tell us
fun
about
back into football.
Oh,
Or
well,
Did he
that'll
say
be the
that?
end of
Or,
you.
well, not fun, but he
didn't say that.
Well, what did he say? He
I
said
thought it was
a bit
just a
diff-
performance by Justin. He said we want sustainable success and we're aiming for a premiership, but not at the
Pathetic,
expense
isn't
of... Yeah, I mean...
No, but
That's-
I thought he said something that he was going to add something
You
to
wouldn't
football
agree.
off the ground.
Well, you wouldn't agree about bringing
or
fun
more
back
balanced.
into it, Don,
Will
would
you
you?
shut up?
I don't know. I only saw the other stuff. I thought, Justin, I hope you're a bit more imaginative the next time you speak.
Animated?
Well, just say something.
Yeah.
Well, of course, what's a new coach going to say? I want to win a flag and I want to make sure that we're a good team
They're
for
a long way
time.
off it,
That's
aren't
right.
they?
He could say, I've been watching the Dockers from afar and I've been pretty disappointed with their performance. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
I'll be bringing something to the table. And if it doesn't work in the very, very short time that I'm here, I'm
I'll
happy
get-
to step away. But this is going nowhere, this club.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and right it.
I like it. I
Well,
like
why
it.
Like
doesn't
what?
people say that?
Yeah. Well, I like just what Sammy said.
Yeah. Don, bringing
You can't. You've got to be politically correct.
What you call me?
Nothing.
You called him Don, didn't you?
You called
I
me.
didn't.
You said you can't.
Oh, righto.
No, Don, you said this won't go over well with you, Don. Bringing fun back into the football. You're not. You're a humorless man.
I know that. So what's it got to do with it? Well, at least I'm balanced.
Balanced.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah,
I've got
you've got
other
a chip
interests
on
besides
both shoulders.
football.
You've got a chip on both shoulders. Give us your
And
final.
as if you haven't.
Give us your final
At least
sub-
Mickey's been in a good mood this week, hasn't he?
He's better. But
Give us your
Better
final
last
subject.
week.
that's
Very
the Asperger's
uptight.
does that.
Before
Does it?
Yeah.
You go
before
up and down
Daddy
in your
Cool.
moods.
Before Daddy Cool, come on. Give us your final subject.
Before
Don.
Daddy
I just
Cool, come
gave
on.
it to you.
Come on. Before Donald. Not came on. Before they come
Comes. Before Daddy Cool, come on.
on. Come on.
You're Geelong Grammar.
That's correct English.
Before Daddy Cool, come on.
Before they
That's
come
the name
on.
of the song.
no.
Come on.
No,
The direct quote was, before Daddy Cool, come on.
Yes.
Comes on.
No, that's their song.
Well,
Come
let me
on.
just think about that. You might have me on a technicality there.
What, that's right and wrong?
Before Daddy Cool come.
On
No,
that
before
note-
they come
on that
on.
note-
Before Daddy Cool come on. No, I'm correct.
Jeez,
It's plural. Give us your
What?
final subject.
I gave it to you.
Right,
Just
we're
around
out.
me.
We're out. Thanks.